Who am I? From my birth to my death, everything about me can change. My name can change, my personality can change, every attribute. My arms can get cut off, I can get shot in the face. Anything is possible. I can go from emo to punk, and same with you. These are all just factors. They're quantum particles in a constant state of change. Then who am I? The one thing that stays consistent from my birth to the death is the observation. The observation that is quietly in all of us, and you and I, the thing that sits there and observes with no judgment, with no association to anything, just pure awareness. It's aware of your hearing, your smell, your sight, everything. But it is not your sight, it is not your hearing, it's not your taste. It's the inner layer of that onion, who we really are. But we all have this inner layer. So what's the difference between my observer and your observer? Is there a difference, or is it the same observer? We each we don't come into the universe. We each emerge from the universe. We are each a leg of the universe, or a finger, thousands of us. And that observation emerges from this universe, the entity. But are others truly conscious? Are others truly observing? As AI advances, there's going to be humanoid species. We're going to be walking down the street and you're not going to be able to tell if this man is quote unquote biologically life or artificial life. But is there really a difference? I was talking to some of my friends the other day and I was stating that how their argument is that this life is iron, it's silicone, it's made out of different metals, but we wouldn't exist. Biological human life needs iron to go on. A rock, a metal that's within the earth, and it's essential for our existence and the food that we eat in our blood. We would just die without it. So are we truly biological? The lines between what is biological and not are so blurred. So if I'm walking down the street and I look at a man and I'm not sure if this man is made out of ones and zeros on the inside or neurons, is there really a difference? We simply don't know. Is the robot conscious? Is the man even conscious? They're both questions that we don't have answers to. The only person that you can be 100% certain of that has that awareness, that pure observation, is you listening. You can't even be sure I have it. It's such an uncertainty. It's called solipsism, not thinking that anyone else is conscious. We can be sure of it, but it can also be kind of a dark lens to live in. You start becoming less empathetic to other humans and beings, and it can almost make you see things as tools. But am I just a tool? What's the difference between a tool and a life? Aren't they the same thing? But one is conscious and one is not. Would I see a screwdriver differently if he was conscious? Would I see a screwdriver differently if he was conscious? That's so intriguing. That's so interesting. I feel like enthusiasmed by the question. No, I would use the screwdriver the same way. I might have some form of empathy. Like, I wouldn't, like, throw the screwdriver across the room. I would treat it with care. I would treat it like it's myself. I would treat it like it's me if it was conscious, because it's the same observer that's within me. So should I treat all that life that way? All life that is conscious? What is even life? Where does life begin? If we look back, my great-great-great-grandfather was an ape. And then before that, a fish. And it keeps going back and back until single-cell organisms. And we become bacteria. At what point does life start and emerges from the universe? It's a constant process. So, can we really draw a line of when life is and when life isn't? Or is it a constant state of change? is this book, the particles in this book, maybe I can say it's not quote unquote alive, but when would it be? What's the difference between being alive and being conscious? Being alive, I don't think it's a fact. I think being a life is an abstract concept. Life is like money, people arguing over something that just doesn't exist. I think life is the same way. It's just a concept, a title. The universe is really one big thing, but we're constantly like separating it into smaller and smaller chunks to understand the one big thing, same as life. But the life is so abstract. It reminds me of looking at an abstract artwork in a museum that different men and women and subjective perspectives, they're all arguing over it. They're all arguing over this just painting, which we call life. We don't know what the painting means, but we all have our strong definitions of what life is. I don't know if life exists, and I don't know if it doesn't exist. I'm uncertain. I am uncertain until proven otherwise. Uncertainty until certainty is undeniable, is what I repeat to myself in my room, in my head. The artwork I create, how I see reality. I often am walking down the street and I almost can get into different mindsets based on the philosophy you have behind your thinking. We all have philosophical ideas behind our framework. And for example, if you really start thinking about solipsism, the idea that you're the only conscious person, you begin to get selfish, unempathetic, and you really wonder, like, you really start questioning your reality with solipsism. Solipsism it really brings you to the ideas of that we're a simulation. Being the only conscious being, it always brings you to that. I'm reading a book by Donald Hoffman about how we are in a simulation, but not in the same technological ideology. It's our brain is a simulation, like dogs versus humans. We can hear up to like, I forgot the exact number, but I'm just gonna say like 60 hertz. This is just an example. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And then dogs can hear up to 200 hertz. Like our hearing isn't hearing everything, it's just hearing a fraction of everything. And so is the dogs. Can you perceive too much? Is too much perception getting lost? Like, is the dog perceiving less objective reality than I? That doesn't logically, wouldn't you say more perceptions, more understanding is closer to objective reality? Does objective reality even exist, or is it just an abstract concept like life of people arguing in a museum over a painting that doesn't even exist? So, what is objective reality? Objective reality would be a state where you understand everything. No, I don't want it, but you even need to understand everything to see it how it. Objective reality is seeing everything how it truly is, in whatever plane of existence that is. Maybe this is objective reality, but it really doesn't seem like it. Like there's humans, our brains create optical illusions. The other day I was sitting on my couch, and the light was lined up just perfectly. I was able to see through my thumb. My thumb was close enough to my eyes where it was blurring it, and the light was bright enough that I was not seeing my thumb. My thumb was completely invisible to me. The reality that my brain creates is not obsolete, it's not correct, it's just a simulation. But what simulation would be correct? In Buddhism, they think death is seeing reality objectively, but maybe there's something I don't understand. It seems like a possibility, but it seems like a stretch. It seems like an assumption, a fallacy. It's something that you can't prove unless you truly die. A lot of the monks are even uncertain about the Buddhism principles. They treat it with uncertainty. They talk about things not their mystical experiences and stuff. They don't know if it's a product of the mind or something else. Is there really a difference between in the mind and outside of the mind? I could just be a brain floating in space. If the universe was purely random, and I have a cup of water. I'm going to use a cup of water as a metaphor. And I put food coloring into the cup of water. And the food coloring can turn into a variety of shapes and sizes within the water. It has endless possibilities. At one point, if I put the food coloring just right into the water, it could turn into an image of a brain, just a floating brain in that cup. Or it could be a picture of Mickey Mouse, but most of the time it would be random blotches. What if this was one of the realities where the possibility of putting that randomness food coloring into the water created a floating brain in space and this liquid goo, and that floating brain was your existence, just pure chance, and everything that you've seen and experienced is just all the floating brain in space. Maybe this very moment was the very first moment you've ever experienced, and everything in the past was just a memory. You truly don't know everything. It could just be a memory. This could be the very beginning of time, this single moment. The rest of this podcast could have been made up by your brain as an experiment or simulation. We simply don't know. We simply don't know. You can theorize and talk about different ideas endlessly, but it always comes back to one truth. We don't know. The topic that there's a recurring idea that you should think that everything's going to be okay. But that's not logical. But I don't know if everything's going to be okay. What if Christian hell really does exist in this entire life? I've been questioning too many things and I am the lost one and I will be burned for eternity. What if Buddhism and the cycle of reincarnation and I am just wasting another one of these lives until I figure it out and become enlightened and separate from the cycle of suffering? There's so many what ifs, so many ideas, so many possibilities, and we simply don't know. All I do know is that we should find out. It should be our top priority. Why wouldn't we? If an individual like Rishi, that is fully dedicating his life and every decision to finding out the truth, he's one individual that should not worry. It's not in his best interest to worry. Since all of his actions are aligned, worrying would accomplish nothing. He shouldn't fear the uncertainty. He should do everything he possibly can. Once you align your actions, you no longer have to think. You can finally think everything's going to be okay because you're doing everything possible to make it okay. So we have another choice. It's the most logical thing to do, but for the average person, sitting in their room, taking shrooms, or going on a walk, or meditating, that thinks they have an idea of what existence truly is, no, they don't. Maybe they do. But whose subjective perception is right? There's so many different ideas. Like we sat down and asked a cosmic God, looking at every human idea of existence, back to back to back, and I ask this entity which subjective view is right. He may chuckle and give a straight answer. Maybe something that's so profound would blow my mind. Or maybe something that's just directly in front of my face. Or maybe the idea of relativism, that all the ideas are right. And everyone finds their own truth. It seems like fallacy to me. Sure, there could be contradicting truths. But let's say there is, let's use that as an axiom. That everyone's idea, whatever you think, whatever you believe is correct about existence. There would be some power to that. It would rely on a lot of interesting alternate universes. One man who believes that all gay people should burn in hell, he would go to an alternate universe where all gay people are burning in hell. But the gay man in this universe that believes that being gay is okay in Christianity, he would go to an alternate universe where it is okay. But then what gay men would end up in the universe of the man that has the idea that all gay men should burn in hell? Is it gay men that think they should burn in hell? Or is it forms of unconscious beings? Or does the universe just create every possibility and caters to us all? Or is the universe just... I like looking at the universe as a classroom. A classroom. We're here now, and we live for such a mere short life, 70 years, and we should take every instance to learn. People are so often looking at all the downsides, thinking this is all pointless, or why does the universe shame me, and getting all mad and angry and sad at their own suffering. But we're really all creating our own heavens and hells in our brain. And the universe is a classroom to teach us and lead us to the truth and whatever that is. And people often get stuck in comfort. I see a theoretical mental state of being in heaven and a theoretical mental state of being in hell equally bad, equally falling into holes of fallacy. I believe you should believe in uncertainty until certainty is undeniable. Rely in that middle state. If let's say you're a monk and you spend your entire life accepting the universe, and you get to a point where you're enlightened, your brain is physically changed, where you're happier all the time and you just don't care about things because everything happens for a reason, and you are truly, truly happy. You are truly in heaven in the mind space. You're finding happiness in ignorance and accepting the universe for how it is. Some people say, why is accepting the universe for how it is bad? How do we know the universe is all powerful? How do we know the universe is all knowing? What if, this is a lens I like to take, what if the universe was like a baby? The universe was like a fetus, and the universe was growing, and we each have some form of capability. What's up? Oh, thank you.
Thank you for today.
Of course, Mom.
Appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you too, Mom.
Oh,
I'm recording something. Love you, bye. What if the universe was just a fetus, a baby, and we had some form of control, some form of ability to choose, and our actions determine the future of this baby? If we choose to accept it and assume this quote-unquote universe is all powerful or all knowing and everything's gonna be okay, or everything just is, what if we're accepting ignorance? We're accepting our own failure. We're letting the baby touch the hot stove, and we're not guiding the baby in the right direction. When it really comes down to it, we simply don't know. That's why we shouldn't stay in heaven or hell. Being in heaven too far makes you lazy, and being in hell too far makes you lazy. They're both equally bad. You should be in a middle place that is optimal, a place that you have enough understanding and well-being to learn to find out. That is the optimal place. The universe is a classroom, and people get trapped in the mind, trapped in the traps of the mind, whether that is to be too happy or whether that's laying in your bed depressed, cutting yourself. They're equally bad possibilities. Then some people argue, well, Max, isn't being happy just better than being depressed? We don't know. And then they'll say, at least when you're in a happy state, generally, you can be more productive and learn. But let's think about it. Depression causes philosophical realizations. I believe you should always be digging deeper to learn and truly understand those emotions. And sometimes those moments, those life-changing events happen when you're depressed as fuck and you choose to look at things differently. Something clicks, something makes sense, finally. Versus a man who is happy in comfort. Sometimes when you're too happy, it's hard to break those preconceived ideas. Not always. There's always case by case. I'm not saying this is a fact that all depressed people have large philosophical realizations and all happy people are stuck in comfort. But there's general patterns we can analyze, but they're simply both traps. So we should stay in uncertainty until certainty is undeniable, until you have a truth that you don't need to argue with someone to be quote unquote right or get their opinion, a truth that is truly undeniable. So, someday we will reach that truth. Someday. It'll be a day like no other. It's only a matter of time. But each of us need to align our actions, align them cosmically. Everyone gets stuck in their tiny bubbles, thinking, I need to just do what's right by my community. I need to do small deeds. Small deeds? Small deeds? What do you mean? We don't need small deeds. We need big deeds. Everyone needs to expand their mind, expand their ability to look at the world. People sitting on the couch getting mad about politics, frustrated about the world. Lack of action is what causes stress and anxiety. Those people should do something. They should make an effort for their ideas. And if their ideas are truly pure, and if they are truly open-minded, they should not have emotion attached to them. Having emotion attached to your ideas is a form of being closed-minded. Closed-minded, closed to change. Again, back to people in their communities, why we should look at lenses bigger. Because we each are so much bigger. If I assumed a solipsism lens, yeah, sure, that starts to make sense. I should just deal with what's in my surroundings. But even that, if I assume solipsism, the entire universe intercepts with my surroundings. Quantum entanglement, a property in physics, quantum physics, it states that one photon can affect the state of another, no matter the distance in between them. If one of them, one of their states changes, it changes the other one. It's magnificent. So even in my room here now, there could be some cosmic event across the universe that is affecting my solipsism lens that I don't even know about. So to truly, no matter what, everything is so big, it's so connected. Even think about it, like the people around you and the plants, they're all woven into the soil and the environments they go to. If you really truly want to help your basic surroundings, it's like people are capable of so much more than I think of. That's so lazy. They're not lazy, it's like fear or a different perspective. I don't, just doesn't make sense to me. Why would people want to change something so small when everything is so big? Trying to change, if we imagine the universe as a human body, if I keep trying to change a disease that's on the edge of my finger, because all I can see is the edge of my finger, because that's the part of the universe I'm in, but the disease is really coming from the hand. I will spend my entire life trying to discover and understand this disease that's on the edge of my finger, representing the universe, when the real problem is something bigger that's unseen. That's just like our universe. And then people often say, why does it matter? Why does anything matter? What is this place? And they argue that we're all cosmically insignificant. We're all so small. Does size truly exist? Size is always relative to something. And we do not know if space is fundamental. We do not know if a mountain is truly bigger than me, or if it's just my perception. What if everything repeats itself. If we go small enough, it starts becoming big things. And if we keep going smaller and smaller, we'll get to the state that I'm in now. And the same thing happens when we go bigger and bigger. What if space wasn't fundamental and it's all just about perspective? We just don't know. There's always what ifs. One of the categories of being open-minded is being able to say, what if? And being able to explore those possibilities. Being able to hold your previously conceptualized ideas and say, what if X? What if this? What if that? And dive into those deep and keep questioning why and why and why and why. It's called shadow work when a person continuously questions why on themselves. They understand their shadow, aka their subconscious. Our subconscious makes up a large percentage of our behaviors, and we are all ignorant to it. Most of mankind is so unaware of their subconscious. The few of you that think you are, you might be, but it's something that's so deep and complex that we've yet to understand. Like, for example, just consciousness in the brain. You can go into Barnes and Noble and they're writing books with titles. What is consciousness? That's insane. It's something that is so unknown. Neil deGrasse Tyson often says that we understand the universe as a whole more than our own brain. More than consciousness. Like, they don't write books about what is the speed of light. We know what the speed of light is, but different authors are writing different perspectives on what is consciousness. I hope someday that we can find out. Just, the subconscious is so weird. The more you think about it. I've personally have changed a lot in the last year and a half. And part of my old habits, part of my old behaviors are still present in my subconscious. And they still exist. And it's almost like a battle between me. Carl Jung's archetypes theory is that each individual is made up of quote-unquote different archetypes. This is an idea that's throughout spirituality, and it's nothing unique. You can look into it. Buddhism has different words for different states of the mind, like the part of you that is temptation, and so on. Even the brain is made up into different quadrants. So, Carl Jung's archetype theory that each of us present in our consciousness, there is different elements that make up me, like different characters all playing the game of Max. Like, my old self, the person I was before this year, was a person that was very into desires, into things like lust, video games, eating food, working out, to vanity, getting likes on social media, becoming famous, money, 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 money. And that part of me has changed a lot. And Carl Jung will call this the child archetype. And the child archetype is present in your prior behaviors, a part of the inner child that most of us have, that just wants love. And my child has truly changed, but it's still present. And at times I feel like there's different parts of me resisting behaviors. Like, I was trying to be celibate for a long time, and my main issue is like the different types of archetypes, like the child who wants love versus the warrior who wants efficiency, different aspects of yourself that most people don't understand, but that are present there. They're all resisting each other, not understanding each other. But when it really came down to it, they all wanted the same thing. They all wanted the best thing. So once I was able to really dive deep in these in meditation and start to explore and have them ask different questions to myself and understand them, you get more control, you get more agency. Rather than having them resist each other, you can guide them in the right direction. It's absolutely incredible. I was talking earlier about nihilism, or a lot of people think that we're cosmically insignificant. We are not cosmically insignificant. true nihilism, if nothing truly mattered, the least faith in the universe is killing yourself, and the most faith in the universe is killing yourself. And we simply don't know. And so the nihilistic part, if you're truly nihilistic, you should, I mean, based on your philosophy, you would die. You would commit suicide. But there's a lot of people who have nihilistic perspectives and they don't die. So there's a contradiction in the belief that truly something does matter to them. But they're not willing to explore that or look at that. They just say nothing matters. But something deep down matters. Something deep, intrinsic in them. That sadly, yes, there are people that do kill themselves. But with the nihilistic perspective, I feel for them. And I hear you. That sounds terrible. Life I can't imagine to live. I mean, maybe they're just seeing the truth. Maybe when they kill themselves, it's something so profound. Maybe they're the sane ones and we're all just in insanity. Maybe they realize something we didn't. Why should we always assume such large things? We simply don't know. But back to the nihilistic perspective, everything being cosmically insignificant. Couldn't you just say everything is cosmically significant too? Causality, a principle in science. For example, the sunflower would have never came into existence if it wasn't for the seed and the water that bloomed it and created this magnificent beauty with all the glorious seeds and yellow petals that makes us ever so happy. But the sunflower is one moment in history which the entire universe's particles lined up perfectly in a course of events, from the weather producing rain to give it soil, from the soil being just the right temperature and right nutrients, from the wind blowing the seed there, and the list goes on, from the creation of the earth to the Big Bang. If the asteroid that barely missed Earth, everything is so connected. Everything is just a product of its environments, a moment in history. That sunflower only existed because of everything else. And so, same with you and I. The only reason I exist and you exist is just a product of the universe. This is just a snapshot of cause and effect till right now. Going back, if everything is truly cosmically insignificant, why is everything so significant for that single sunflower to grow? We need all of these events to solely working as a baby on the harp, creating beautiful trinity of music just for that single moment. Every string as significant as the next. Maybe there are things more significant and less significant. But from my perspective, it seems like everything is cosmically significant. But if you truly believe in that lens and take it too much, it leads to a form of comfort and ignorance. We need to remain uncertain until certainty is undeniable. Socrates, the only truth is man knows nothing. So let's explore the lens more that everything is cosmically significant. Let's go back. Let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to the Jurassic Age. Have you ever heard about the butterfly effect? So known. Something you've probably got told in 3rd grade and your little mind was blown and you wet your pants and your eyes shot the frick open and yeah, that little light bulb moment, that little significant moment when you heard of the butterfly effect. At least I did. But I was a bit strange. But aren't we all a bit strange? The butterfly effect is if, theoretically, I went back in time and I was able to change one variable as small as stepping on a butterfly. It would change the entire evolution of the Earth. It would change everything. the Earth would evolve in a different way, just from this super small variable. Bringing this back to cosmically significant. If I wasn't here in this moment of the history, the Earth would not evolve the same way. My actions dictate the future evolution of the Earth. Lack of action is an action in itself. So we each dictate the future evolution of mankind and the universe. And all of us dictate the future of the Earth. Lack of action is a action in itself. A man that chooses to not go research science and not understand neuroscience and create neurotech, and he decides to sit on his couch and eat nacho cheese, that's a lack of action. That is a choice. And he had a choice to do another action. They both would have resulted in two totally different possibilities of the Earth. These two totally different possibilities, just based on one man. And you are that one woman, that one man, that one non-binary people, that one dog, that one alien, whoever is listening. That AI, you are that one creature. Your single-handed actions can change everything. No matter who you are. If you're a homeless bum and you dedicate your life to something great, even if you're 60 years old and homeless, you are truly cosmically significant. The choices that you make don't just affect you, they affect the whole. Everyone's choices. A man choosing a job just for the money, for stability, this decision is affecting the universe as a whole. And I don't understand why people take such small lenses. Let me just look at my actions. I need a job for stability. I need one for comfort. But that choice is changing the evolution of the Earth. So why would you choose to do that? Why would you choose to be so... It's not even selfish. It's ignorant. It's purely ignorant because we don't even know who the self is. The particles in my body from birth to death are two totally different things. The only thing that stays the same is the true observer within me. The observer that's within you, that's within all of us. I assume it's in all of us. That's something I always question. You can never question too much. But you should question that statement, because sometimes if you do question too much, you start believing you're mad. You start believing you can... It's just like rolling dice with the devil. So, question very deeply. But then once your reasoning or logic... I guess a lot of it is questioning too much. A lot of it is from being alone. The first Buddha, he wanted monks to live in monasteries, specifically in groups, instead of being solo, because of madness. Often monks or mystics or hermits that live alone, true questioners, true truth seekers, they go mad, they go insane from questioning. If you're truly alone, you don't have anyone to put you in check. So with the monastery, for example, and other monks, if I have this really good idea and I'm saying the purpose of the universe is to commit as much harm and evil, and I'm like going psychotic, and there's obviously like a fallacy in my philosophy, a contradiction in my belief, the other monks will be able to question my fallacy, question my contradiction, help me bring me back to uncertainty until certainty is undeniable. If we speak of enlightenment, a lot of times people say enlightenment is the truth. But if enlightenment is truly the truth, why doesn't everyone know? Maybe it's because none of us have been enlightened. But what if enlightenment is just getting lost? As of right now, the definition of enlightenment I'm using is more like through meditation, through letting go of everything and accepting the flow, the universal flow, and you are something bigger than yourself. That type of enlightenment. What if you're just getting lost? What if our brains create a reality so What if you're just accepting a truth that is ignorant, that is not the whole? Can you truly be enlightened and seek the truth if we're only a fraction? Have a fraction of understanding, not even a fraction. We are a speck. Our understanding is a speck on the infinite canvas we call the universe. How can that be enlightenment? Maybe it is. Maybe I can't see it. Maybe I've questioned too far. Or maybe you haven't questioned enough. True enlightenment is all cosmic knowledge. Knowledge is the true love. Every time you learn something, it's love. All cosmic knowledge is true enlightenment. And there's only one way to seek it. There's only one way to get there. The relentless, the truth seekers, the ones that are far above the rest. The ones that are willing to sacrifice, the ones that will sacrifice everything for one thing. The only sane men among the insanity. But what is this? What is life? Let's take this pen, for example. When a baby is first born, they look at this pen, but they don't see a pen. They're first born. Their mind hasn't made up the reality yet. The mind hasn't made up the reality yet. It sees everything as static, just as on a TV screen, just static of the mind all around. It doesn't see, hear, smell. It's just all static, confusion, immersion. But eventually, over time, the brain starts interpreting things based on ideas, sets of particles that move together instead of what they really are. Everything is always changing. The particles that are in this pen may be across the universe in a few days. It's so weird, but we'll still see it as the same idea. I mean, the particles in a lamp may be across the universe in a few days, but we'll still see the lamp as the same idea, the same lamp. But is it really the same lamp? It's not the same lamp. It has changed. Everything is changing. But there are constants in our universe, like the speed of light, different levels of hertz, different rules of physics. There are things that don't change. Change is not the only constant. There's a lot of things that don't change. What if in our lifetime you can do something not cosmically insignificant, not getting the best house in the street or the hottest wife or the promotion you always wanted, but truly you do something that permanently changes the universe. Something that is so big that it changes the rules of the universe. Something permanent. Permanent seems possible based on what we know, since there's permanent rules in our universe. But how would one ever do that? We simply don't know. But we have a plan to find out. The mere human life is so small, so minuscule, so tiny. You're only living 70, 80 years, give or take. And what can you accomplish in that time? Men spend their entire time mastering astronomy for their first 20 years or their first half a lifetime before they can actually start getting creative and truth-seeking. And then they just die, and it happens again and again. People have to waste all this time learning what others have already understood. It's repetitive over and over and over. Our brain is like an interface. All our memories and everything in here, it's all just form synapses of neurons, patterns between the brain, just like code on the computer. With the future of neurotechnology, we're going to be able to change that. Instead of spending your entire life learning something that someone has already understood. Maybe in a click of a button, you can understand it. As simple as a tap. So we no longer have to relearn over and over. It'll be simple as a tap. Imagine when you're in 5th grade, you are now the equivalent of all the smartest men on earth. You are at a point where you have so much knowledge and understanding of our existence that everyone else already has too, that you can truly do something that is different, truly be creative and be unique and look at things differently and truth seek. That would be a glorious opportunity. That little 5th grader can explore any part of reality once, one that we previously don't understand, instead of this repeating process of people thinking they're so unique doing something or learning something, but then it's been done hundreds of times before. We should put all of our energy, all of our resources. We need to. Our brains are fascinating. Our brains are insane. Most people's brains are like an untrained, untamed bulldog. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can learn to master the minds. You should always explore consciousness. You don't need your mind controlling you. You can gain a form of agency and align your actions. Alignment, integrity. Pure integrity is one of the highest views in my eye. Someone with all of his ideas and all of his actions all aligns, with no contradictions in his philosophies, is a true man, pure integrity. But people are uncomfortable with uncertainty. They find comfort in their preconceived ideas. They find comfort in assuming things. They want to be happy, but happiness is so pointless. It's a fleeting feeling of the mind that the observer just witnesses. The observer witnesses the downs and the ups, but we don't know what this means. We don't know what anything means. Maybe happiness is the purpose of life, but we simply don't know right now. And if you say otherwise, you're finding comfort in ignorance. Comfort in ignorance. Oh, leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Oh, comfort and ignorance. It rolls off the tongue. What does that even mean? What does that mean to you? Comfort and ignorance is when someone chooses comfort over seeking the truth. They are scared of uncertainty. They're scared of purely being open-minded. They're scared of looking at things differently. It's a fear. It's a fear. So many men go down meaningless routes. Meaningless. Time and time again. Spending their entire life with pursuits that don't mean anything. Getting obsessed with imaginary games and imaginary concepts. All for what? All for what? To play more imaginary games? To get more imaginary prices? Log off of your Clash of Clans account and start playing the real computer of life. It's beautiful. It's profound. You may ask, who am I? But the real question is, who are we? Who are you? The one observing this. You may say, I am my name. I am a product of all my experiences along with the observer. I am a state of change. But you are so connected to everything. You are just a moment in history. A moment of the universe. To truly understand who you are, you need to understand everything. People often fall in love with their partners, their mates, and they say, I love you for who you are, but you're loving the idea of them. You're not loving who they truly are. When you have a crush, you're not having a crush on them. You don't understand them. To truly know someone, to truly understand something, it's beautiful. True love. You might be watching this and saying, well, I understand my boyfriend. Do you? Sure, you can take couples tests. Sure, you go to therapy. Sure, you spend every waking moment with him. But there's moments when he's asleep, his subconscious wanders. Those brief changes in perception between you and him. He may see a cloud in the background, and you may not. These things that seem so insignificant add up. They change a person. Even if you knew him from birth, even if you spent every moment with him, even if you were genuinely in the same room with him. You have to truly understand yourself before you understand someone else. But who is the self and who is someone else? They're both intertwined. You need such a high understanding to find the true love. True love exists, but we do not have it. You watching this, unless you have all cosmic knowledge of the universe, you don't have true love. You have comfort, an idea that doesn't really exist, an idea that you don't really understand. He may just be lying, he may just be a liar, you might just be stuck in illusion. Maybe we're all stuck in illusions. Isn't that life? Isn't that reality? People say, why don't you just accept the illusion? Why would I? What's the purpose? Isn't life like a classroom? Shouldn't we find out before we come to a conclusion? Shouldn't we get all the information we can? Otherwise, just ignorance. We should get all the information before we come to a conclusion. We just simply don't know. People say the purpose of philosophy is the realization that you truly know nothing. You truly know nothing. I truly know nothing. I think about that a lot. Like, I know so little, so minuscule. I just want to know more. I want to understand more. I want to unlock the secrets of the universe itself. I want it all. Then I can come to a conclusion. Then I can hand you an answer. Then we can understand. Not understand ourselves, but understand each other. It'll be something beautiful, something profound, something unimaginable that you and I have never experienced before. We'll connect. And you that are watching this, I love you because you are knowledge. Thank you for listening to my little chats. You entity of existence. I'll see you soon again. Universalism Discord in the bio. We have meetings every Tuesday. Bye-bye.